Jesus Christ. I think this is a sign for me to stop. I don't know where to start. This is my third attempt at making this video. This is my story on my stillbirth. I lost my daughter at 37 weeks and 6 days. I still don't know why. I was seen a lot during my pregnancy, but not nearly as enough. I was seen because I would go in to the doctor and I would express my concerns. I would express it, how much pain I was in. I was nauseous from day one. I didn't feel good from day one. And no, that's normal. People normalize this. That's fine. It's pregnancy. You're supposed to be nauseous. No. Not for me. When I had my first daughter, I wasn't nauseous. I wasn't sick. And yet I was high risk because she had an erratic heartbeat. I should have been high risk for this pregnancy because I was always in pain. I was always going to the doctor to be monitored because I was having contractions, or I was in such back pain, or I was having so much pressure. I mean, I was having contractions since I was 20 weeks pregnant. I was in just such back pain that it felt like my back would shatter. I couldn't take the pain. I started to question myself because I would go to the doctor and then I would be sent home. No, you and baby are good. Go home. Everything's fine. We'll see you at your follow-up. I never thought this would happen to me. I thought, from what the doctors were saying, that everything was fine. But looking back, everything wasn't fine. Nothing really made sense. I was in so much pain from the beginning. The heartburn, I mean, it would make me vomit almost daily. So much pain. And this was later on in my pregnancy. This wasn't at 6 weeks pregnant, 4 weeks, 9. It was later on. I was in so much pain. So much pain. I would rock. I would rock and sway. And I would just be so sick. I would be so sick in the bathroom. I would be sweating from the pain until I would vomit. I thought maybe this pregnancy was just harder than my last. I didn't think really much of it. Looking back now, my daughter was behind in growth from her first ultrasound. She was supposed to be 8.5 weeks. She was only like 8. I mean, it's not a big difference, and some babies grow at different rates, but to me that's a sign. Maybe she just, I don't know. After all that pain, I ended up finally going into active labor because I was basically in labor the whole time. I mean, I was having contractions since 20 weeks. I didn't know any different. I didn't know when it was time for me to go in because every time I would go in, I would be sent home. So I did finally go in. It was maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. And now, mind you, I was in pain the entire weekend. I mean, excruciating back pain. But I didn't think anything of it. And because I didn't think anything of it, because I was always in pain, I didn't really feel her move. I don't remember the last time I did. I was in so much pain that pain is all I could think about, and all the other things I was thinking about was, well, if I went in, I would get sent home. It was 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday night, Monday morning, and I was in active labor. I mean, the labor pains had me groaning and moaning. I just felt like, okay, it's time. But on the other hand, I was like, maybe we should wait because I'm always in pain. And maybe I'll get sent home. Why even go? Just wait it out. Wait it out. I was just waiting it out because I would always get sent home. But this time was different because at 2 o'clock in the morning, I couldn't take it anymore. I was in so much pain. My back would have literally shattered if it was a piece of glass from the tension. I mean, oh my God, the pain. I can't even describe it to you. So I finally went in and they were getting me all set up. And I went into the monitoring room, and after I did that, I got in my gown, I went pee. That's just the protocol. I go back, and they're trying to put me on the monitor, and nothing comes up. So they send an ultrasound tech in. And the ultrasound tech can't find anything. It's silent. Just like this. There's no noise. No heartbeat. No anything. No movement. Nothing. Still. Just still as could be. My daughter was there with us because we live in Pennsylvania and my family is in New York. So I had nobody there to keep her at the time. And she was sitting in the room. We all were. And then all of a sudden, I just started crying because I knew. I didn't hear anything. And usually as soon as we go to the doctor, I can hear her right away. It was like nothing. I didn't hear anything. And I knew. I just wanted it to be a mistake. But it wasn't. They called another doctor in. And they didn't find anything. And they were very quick to just be like, your baby has no heartbeat. There is no heartbeat. They didn't even have to say anything to me for me to know that. At first I started crying and they told me, just relax, we're going to get someone else come in, you know, check again. There's nothing there. So, from there I'm a wreck. My daughter has to be removed from the room because I am uncontrollably sobbing. It felt like a bad dream that I thought I was going to wake up from. It felt like a nightmare. Like I was living in a nightmare. And sadly that nightmare continued. And it still hasn't ended for me. For all of us. The doctors were telling me, you're young, you can try again. Who in their right mind would say that to somebody who is losing their baby, who just lost their baby and it's still laying inside of their body? Who does that? You're young, you'll have more kids. Do I really want to hear that right now? And do I care? No. Because even if I had all the kids in the world, She's my daughter. And I just lost her, and that's what you're going to tell me? That I'm young, I can try again? Well, what about her? Is she nothing? Does she not matter at all? I think at one point, there was a little bit of a scare for my health because my blood pressure just went sky high. But I was so just in the moment, so distraught that I didn't even know that that was going on. They gave me 2 epidurals because the first one didn't work, and they were trying to tell me that, oh, you're not going to be completely numb. I've had a baby before. This is not my first birth. I should not be able to lift my leg and kick you in the face if I wanted to. I should be completely numb. So they said, are you sure you want another one? Blah, blah, blah. Of course. Of course. I'm not going through this with no epidural. And I didn't even want to have a natural labor at that point, because my first daughter was a cesarean and I wanted my vaginal birth to be special. And it wasn't. I wanted a very special VBAC. I wanted it to mean a lot to me that I actually did this. I wanted the baby to be my reward. But it wasn't. It was like living in hell. It was like I was being thrown through hoops of fire to get nowhere. To get absolutely nowhere. I gave birth to my daughter, and they asked me if I wanted to see her right before she came out, and I said no, and then I finally decided yes. And when I seen her, it's like my world shattered all over again. She was perfect. There was nothing wrong with her. She looked like a porcelain doll. She had no damaged skin. She had such beautiful black curly hair. She had her daddy's lips. And she had both of our nose. I mean, her daddy's little wide nose here and then my top right here. She was just the perfect combination. She was perfect. And I just didn't understand how my perfect little girl couldn't be with me. She couldn't live her life with me. And we had no answers that day. No one could tell us anything. All they said was, you have to do an autopsy if you want to know. And we did. We did an autopsy. It was really hard. We spent hours with her when we could have spent days. Because even though the nurses kept telling us that we could have stayed, it was like staying wouldn't bring her back. And the more time that we spent with her, I feel like would have been worse for us mentally. Because there was no way to fix it. There was nothing we could have done to bring her back, to save her, to help her, anything. She just looked like a sleeping perfect angel who couldn't stay on earth. It was really hard. Giving my daughter to a stranger and then leaving without her was probably the hardest thing that I ever had to do. Imagine you moms who have mom guilt for leaving their kids with a babysitter so they could go out. Picture you leaving your baby with someone you don't know. And never being able to see her again. I'm gonna continue making this video even though I'm crying, because I really don't think that even in due time I'll be able to tell this story without crying. It's been almost 16 months now. It doesn't matter how long it'll be. That's my baby. My baby who couldn't stay, but who deserved to. I went home to everything set up. All of her stuff. Her car seat was in the back seat of the car. An empty car seat with no baby in my belly anymore. I came home and I was hungry and I didn't want to eat, but I did anyway. The hospital didn't even feed me. Like, it was the worst day ever. I went in, I gave birth, and I went home all on the same day. I didn't stay, I checked out. What do I have to stay for? And why would I? When I don't have a baby to care for. Mind you, the room that we were in, the delivery room, was freezing. It was like a garage. They didn't care about me or my baby because she wasn't alive. They didn't care. Seeing my daughter's stuff everywhere and doing all the new things without her that I used to do when I was holding her in my belly was hardest. Like taking a shower, taking a bath, eating. The simplest things that people do to survive and to be healthy and to maintain themselves. I didn't want to do those things because those things I used to do while I was pregnant with my daughter. There's so many things that I'm leaving out because I truthfully don't know where to start, and I don't feel like even if I wrote down everything in a notepad, it would help. Because I think this story is just so much. I just think this story is full of despair and pain that I don't think there is an organized way to tell it. Because it was a mess. It still is a mess. I live every day without my daughter. And now my 5-year-old suffers because she is scared of death. She doesn't want people in her life to die. She's worried constantly about dying, about people that she loves dying, about everything. She's so afraid. She's so worried. And she cries. And it takes a real big toll on her. When you lose a baby, you go through stages. You're really sad, and then you're really angry. And then you're really sad, and then you're so angry. And then you start to blame others or yourself. And I did both. And now that I'm 15 months in, I truly feel like no matter what, I don't think it would have worked out. I think that God took her from me before I had her, because if I had her and then I couldn't keep her, it probably would have killed me. I cannot stress this enough. If I did not have my 5-year-old daughter, I would not be sitting here today. I would have no reason to be here. With losing my daughter, I lost a lot of people in my life. And I did that by choice, because I realized who is really there for me and who is not. And I don't want to be associated with those people anymore. The worst thing could have happened to me. But where were you? That's my story. And if anyone has any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them. We did do an autopsy, and there was a blood clot on her skull, but they told me that it could have been caused from birth. They told me there was an infection in her umbilical cord, but they didn't know where it was from or what it was. I was diagnosed with BV and Group B strep during my entire pregnancy, or a good portion of it. I was told they were going to help me with the Group B by giving me antibiotics during birth, and then when I gave birth to my daughter, they didn't need to do that anymore because she wasn't here. I took antibiotics for the BV, and then they never checked up on it again. I didn't have any other issues that they claimed, other than me constantly being in pain and going there and just to be sent home. I just wanted to make this video because there are so many people out there who think that once they get pregnant, they have a baby, and that baby comes home, and unfortunately, that's just not how it works. And I really wish that it was, but sometimes you just get unlucky, like me. I am 1 in 4. There's way more of us than you think, because we aren't normalized in society the way that we should be. If we talk about things like this, our babies get recognized. And that's what is very important to me. My daughter is not here. I don't have her with me. I don't get to watch her grow. I don't get to take care of her. I didn't give birth, go through all of that pain, and then have a baby to take care of. I had milk come in for a baby that I couldn't feed. I was bleeding from a baby that I couldn't hold. I've never felt more empty in my entire life. So never question yourself. If you are pregnant, it doesn't matter how many times you go in and they send you home. Go in, because it's not worth losing your child over. I don't care if you think they'll look at you weird. I don't care. And for the moms out there who are watching this, who lost their babies like I did with mine, I'm so sorry. I am so, so sorry. No one deserves his pain. I'm so sorry to any mom or dad or sibling or aunts or uncles or grandparents. I'm so sorry to anybody who has lost a baby. It is probably the hardest thing you will ever have to go through in your entire life. We all take pain differently, but I'm not going to ignore it. I'm not going to ignore my baby, because to me, she did exist, and she always will. So, please comment if you have any questions. If you don't, then just keep scrolling. I just want to make everyone aware of what I went through and what others will go through too, because no one talks about this stuff. No one talks about it. Thank you guys for watching.